Hello there guys, welcome to one of my live videos, and on this video tonight I am going to be giving you my match reaction for the Tottenham Manchester City game that's just ended. Tottenham Hotspur 2, Manchester City 0 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Well, it is a surprise scoreline because, you know, in recent years Man City have had a pretty decent record against Tottenham in the current Premier League. You know, this win puts Tottenham to 5th in the Premier League. They are now just 4 points behind Chelsea, I think. So it does keep their top 4 ambitions alive. And, you know, Jose Mourinho will be very delighted to beat Pep Guardiola. And Manchester City, of course, still remain 22 points behind Liverpool and that. Obviously, you know, City will feel hard done by in that game because, to be fair, I thought they dominated large periods of the game. You know, Manchester City did create a lot of chances. They also, you know, had a lot of shots on goal. I think Manchester City had around 18 shots on goal, but only 5 of them came on target. But on the other hand, you know, Tottenham had around 3 shots on goal. 2 of them, of course, were the goals from Tottenham that were on target, and the other one, you know, they had the other shot on target where they didn't currently score. These a lot of talking points in the game that I am going to go through with you. But, you know, before going to that, you know, the chances I saw Manchester City have, I've just watched some of the highlights. You know, Aguero had some decent opportunities. I think Aguero hit the post twice in the game. I think also Kevin De Bruyne had a couple of chances. You know, my opinions on Aguero is I think he's still an extremely good player. But, you know, he doesn't really seem to have that clinical element at the moment, you know. But he was very, very unlucky. So now we'll go through the talking points in the game. Now, VAR had to intervene quite a lot in the game because a lot was happening. Obviously, you know, this is very controversial. You know, should Raheem Sterling have been sent off in the first half for the challenge on Dele Alli? Obviously, you know, Sterling had obviously, you know, got a yellow card. And then, obviously, you know, Manchester City did miss a penalty as well. Obviously, you know, Aguero had been brought down by Serge Aurier. Obviously, you know, VAR intervened and give that. Then, obviously, you know, Ilkay Gundogan had missed the penalty. And then again, you know, Raheem Sterling runs in, Hugo Lloris brings him down, and then everyone, you know, starts kicking off. So, should Man City, you know, have had another penalty? Maybe they should have had more than one penalty, you know, in the current game. And obviously, you know, City also got a man sent off. I think Zinchenko got sent off. So also, you know, that could have cost them. I can't remember, you know, what challenge it was currently on now. The goals did come from Steven Bergwijn, however you pronounce his name. Obviously, you know, Tottenham's new signing, and it was his debut today, and he has scored on his debut. Who got the assist now for his goal? Was it... Yeah, it was Lucas Moura that got the assist for his goal. It was a lovely chest down, by the way. Lovely finish by Steven Bergwijn. I thought he had a really good game for Tottenham. And the second goal came from Lucas Moura. And obviously, you know, Tango Ndombele had got the assist. So that was enough to give Tottenham the win. You know, obviously, you know, Tottenham, obviously, you know, rested a few key players. Obviously, you know, Gedson Fernandes wasn't playing. Obviously, you know, the player there did sign on an 18-month loan with the option to buy. Obviously, you know, Ryan Sessegnon wasn't playing, who, of course, they got last summer from Fulham. Obviously, you know, Harry Kane still remains out injured. I think he's out injured for a while. Obviously, Sissoko's still out with injury. There was no Ben Davies today because he's out with an ankle injury. Danny Rose, he obviously, you know, went out on loan to Newcastle. Tottenham, of course, lost Christian Eriksen, so they have lost quite a few of their key players. And people talk about saying Tottenham are nothing with Harry Kane. Well, I know they wasn't so good today, but they still got the current victory, and that's very important from a Tottenham perspective. But I feel as though at the moment that Heung-min Son is one of their best players. You know, he scores a lot of goals, he can create chances. Very, very good on that right-hand side, I think, for Tottenham. I still think Dele Alli is a very, very good player, but I don't think he's as good as Heung-min Son at this moment in time. You know, Kane's obviously no good when he's fully fit. You know, I think, you know, that Bergwijn's going to be a very good player for them. I think at Tottenham he's going to replicate what he did at PSV. I think probably Gedson Fernandes is going to do well for them. I don't think Davinson Sanchez is too bad defensively. Too bad defensively. Now, Eric Lamela, I do rate him as well. that Giovanni Lo Celso is a pretty decent player. Don't forget Tottenham did get him on a permanent basis, so he's a pretty decent player. So Tottenham have got a pretty decent squad. You know, they have got a pretty decent squad of Tottenham. Hugo Lloris isn't so bad. I think he's a pretty decent keeper. Don't forget he was injured early on in the season. I think he got man of the match today because, like I mentioned, reverting back to what I said, Man City created a lot of chances today, but obviously, you know, they couldn't put the ball in the current back of the net. And I like Tango Ndombele a lot, and I think, you know, since his arrival at Tottenham, he's replicating what he did do with Leon and that. But yeah, so Tottenham, you know, will be very, very delighted in that, and definitely, you know, Jose Mourinho will be at Tottenham going on into next season. And I did say in my preview, maybe Tottenham did make a mistake recommending Jose Mourinho win, because I don't think he's at the top level anymore as a manager. I think he's a very, very good manager, and he's got a proven pedigree behind him. You know, Mourinho's won 25 major honours so far during his managerial career, as a manager, basically. But, you know, maybe they did make a mistake by recommending him. You know, they've had some good results under him. You know, they've had a lot of bad spells under him because Tottenham haven't been great this season. But maybe they did make one mistake buying, you know, getting rid of Mauricio Pochettino, because I thought Mauricio Pochettino was a pretty decent manager for Tottenham. You know, he endured 5.5 years with Tottenham. Obviously, you know, and I thought he did well, even though he hasn't won out in terms of silverware. I don't think, you know, Tottenham should have got rid of him. You know, he did progress Tottenham to their first ever Champions League final last season. He also too, you know, got them to a couple of second place finishes, third place finishes. But, you know, analysing the vast majority of Mauricio Pochettino's tenure, you know, Tottenham, you know, were mainly competing in and out of the top four. But then in the last couple of years of his tenure, you know, Tottenham, you know, were being title contenders and that. But, you know, I think probably, you know, Jose Mourinho probably, you know, will want to make more signings in the summer at Tottenham. You know, there's only 2 players that are his at the moment that he's recommended in. And like I said, it's Steven Bergwijn and Jedson Fernandez. So he's still in the process of rebuilding, basically, because obviously he's inheriting, you know, quite a lot of Mauricio Pochettino's players who he recommended in, you know, during that 5.5 year tenure and that. But Mourinho is still a good manager, like I mentioned. You know, obviously, you know, his 2.5 year tenure at Man United didn't work out. Obviously, you know, the main explanation why this is because he had bad disputes with the board. He had a lot of bad disputes with the top players. You know, the board weren't backing the signings that I wanted to recommend in the summer of 2018. You know, Mourinho obviously, you know, had 2 spells at Chelsea. Obviously, the main explanation why I got sacked from Chelsea was due to something to do with the club doctor. You know, but he's won a lot of silverware as Jose Mourinho, and he has managed a variety of clubs. But Tottenham did well at the beginning, you know, when he first came in. I think they won like their first 3 or 4 games and that. But maybe they made a mistake, you know, by getting rid of Mauricio Pochettino. But, you know, Jose Mourinho, like I said, will just be happy to beat Pep Guardiola. From Man City perspective, like I mentioned, they'll be very, very disappointed with the result. Obviously, it wouldn't have changed anything anyway, because obviously we already know that the title's over. You know, even if City had won today, you know, they'd still be 19 points behind Liverpool. But I think, you know, Liverpool are going to be the same going on to next season as they have been this season. I think the only team that can stop Liverpool is Manchester City. I don't think any other team can stop Liverpool, because Liverpool are in fantastic form. You know, Liverpool have won 24 games out of 25 in the Premier League. They're unbeaten in 42 Premier League games. They're unbeaten at Anfield in almost 3 years, and they've registered 73 points in 25 games. And Liverpool, of course, are breaking records, and they are on course to win their first Premier League title for 30 years. So Liverpool are going to end their 30-year drought. But this is going to be officially their first ever Premier League. So obviously, you know, they are going to be 12 Premier Leagues behind us, because my club, Man United, have won 13. And obviously, you know, it'll be their 19th title overall. You know, because at the moment, you know, Liverpool have won 18 all their first divisions and that. But, you know, like I said, you know, City obviously, want to get runners-up in the Premier League this season. Obviously, it's between Leicester and Man City for runners-up in the Premier League. I still feel as though, Manchester City are probably going to get some silverware on the board this season. I think, they're going to win the Carabao Cup, definitely, because they have progressed into the final. I think they'll beat Aston Villa. I still think, City could possibly, win the FA Cup. I don't see City winning the Europa League. Sorry, not the Europa League, the Champions League, sorry. Because they haven't got a pedigree in the Champions League, and Manchester City, of course, have never won the Champions League. But I do believe they'll still get some silverware on the board this season. City, when we beat them at the Etihad earlier on this season, this was in the league, obviously. I think since then, they seem to have rejuvenated themselves, and, they went on a good running run and that. But, they haven't been so good recently. Obviously, they lost today. They lost to us in the Carabao Cup semi-final, second leg. Even though City did go through 3-2 on aggregate. Obviously, City have lost games this season that they shouldn't be losing. Obviously, they lost twice to Wolves. I know Wolves are a good team. They lost at home to Wolves as well, 2-0. And it's very rare that Man City lose at the Etihad because they've got a pretty decent record at the Etihad. Norwich also beat them 3-2 early on the season. We beat them, and we're nowhere near as good as Man City at the moment because their strides ahead of us. They've lost at Liverpool. Obviously, Liverpool are better than Man City. So I think now City have lost around, 6 or 7 games now this season. But, they haven't been as good this season as I thought they would be in that, City, of course, wanted to get their third title on the trot. So there was looking to match what my club, Manchester United, did back in 2007, 2008 and 2009 because, we won 3 back-to-back titles in that. I think we also did it from 1998 to 2001. But obviously, City aren't going to win their third title on the trot and that. I think Liverpool also going to break, or not, if not break, at least match Manchester City's record from a couple of years ago, when Manchester City did reach 100 points and that. But, like I said, City have still got a very, very good squad. A lot of money's been invested into that Manchester City team, since Pep Guardiola got recommended in. Pep Guardiola spent around £1 billion in his managerial career, all in all, including his time at Barcelona and Bayern Munich and that, But obviously, more than half that £1 billion has been invested into that Manchester City team, basically. But, City have got some decent players in their team. Like I said, I still rate Aguero a lot. I like Bernardo Silva. Very, very decent player for City. I think he's been in good form recently for them. He can score goals. He can create chances, can Bernardo Silva. Obviously, they've still got a few injuries of Man City. They've got one of their key players out through Leroy Sané. Obviously, Benjamin Mendes sustained quite a few injuries since Man City got him from Monaco. Obviously, I don't know what's been happening with Laporte. Is he suffering? I think he's fatigue. Is he got fatigue or something like that? I know he was out with a knee injury not too long ago and that. I don't think Mahrez is a bad player for them. City got him from Leicester. I think at City he's replicating what he did do with Leicester. Joe Cancelo, City, of course, did sign him last summer. David Silva, some people say he's not as good as he used to be. I thought when Vincent Kompany was at City, he was very, very good for City, very, very good centre-half. Obviously, now he's no longer at Man City. I think he left Man City last season. Edison, pretty decent goalkeeper. I think it's sort of the comparison to Alisson because for Liverpool, I think Alisson's a much better goalkeeper than Edison. If I'm right, I don't think Bernardo Silva wasn't playing today. If I am currently right, obviously. So I think, Tottenham, I think, City will feel hard done by today's game because, they'll feel as though they didn't deserve that. Like I said, the sending off may have been, that may change the game and that. And basically, the thing that let City down was their finishing because there wasn't ruthless enough in front of goal. But I thought Tottenham defensively did well. They didn't do much in terms of an attacking intent because they didn't have a lot of shots on goal. But they just proved to be clinical because Tottenham took their chances when they had their current chances. So take that into account and that. So that's your match reaction for the Tottenham Man City game. Also, you saw a match reaction earlier on to the Burnley Arsenal game. and that was, of course, a 0-0 draw at Turf Moor. Like I mentioned, from a Burnley perspective, they would have been very, very disappointed, would Burnley, because, Jay Rodriguez missed that chance right at the end. He hit the inside of the crossbar, but the ball didn't currently go over the line and that. But, Burnley will feel very, very disappointed because they felt as though they should have won that game, reflecting on that big chance they had at the end through Jay Rodriguez. Arsenal, from an Arsenal perspective, but they'll also be disappointed because it was a must-win game for Arsenal because they want to keep their top four ambitions alive. Even if they'd won the game, I'd have been very sceptical that they were going to get that top four anywhere because they are now 10 points behind Chelsea for that current top four, Arsenal. Arsenal and that. And, Mikel, a lot of Arsenal fans are saying, Mikel Arteta, did get the lineup on today for Arsenal and that. Obviously, maybe Aubameyang, should have been maybe playing centrally. Some people are saying Lacazette should have been dropped because he hasn't been in great form recently. But I think when they're in good form and when they do play together, they complement each other fantastically well, do Aubameyang and Lacazette. But the positive is that, Arsenal do keep their good record up against Burnley because, I think Arsenal have won their last 10 games against Burnley, prior to the game today. So I think now Arsenal unbeaten in their last 11 or last 12 against Burnley in all competitions and that. But Arsenal do usually beat Burnley, maybe a few times in recent years Arsenal have rode their luck. But maybe some of the blame does stem from Mikel Arteta today and that. Obviously, Arsenal obviously got David Luiz in. He's just come back from suspension. Aubameyang obviously just served a 3-match suspension. Mustafi was playing because he's just come back from injury. Obviously, Pablo Mari didn't make his debut today for Arsenal, as I thought he could have done, to be fair. He would probably make his debut in Arsenal's next game against Newcastle, But, maybe some people say the game with Burnley and Arsenal today was a fair result. The draw, basically, was a fair result. But, like I mentioned, there was a lot of chances in the game. I think, Burnley have 15 shots, Arsenal had 13. But there was only 4 shots on target. Arsenal had 2 on target. Burnley had 2 on target. Obviously, I think Lacazette should have scored because he had a couple of decent chances. Aubameyang should have scored. He had a couple of decent chances. He also had one towards the end where he felt as though, he should have scored. A lot of Arsenal fans are saying maybe Edward Nketiah, that young maybe should have started, but he did come on in the game. Some Arsenal fans are saying that Willock should have started, but he also come on in the game. Torreira came on. Maybe some Arsenal fans will say, why didn't Lucas Torreira starting the game? Because I think he's also been a very, very good player for Arsenal. I do rate him a lot, Lucas Torreira. Ozil, again, that's very questionable. Maybe should Ozil have been dropped in that? I think Ozil's past his sell-by date, if I'm going to be quite honest. And I'll give him the credit. I think maybe in a couple of games, under Arteta, he has rejuvenated himself. But I think overall, in general, Arsenal should have got rid of Mesut Ozil a long time ago. I think Arsenal have made some mistakes over the years. One mistake was obviously, letting Arsene Wenger go too late. They should have got rid of him at an earlier point because Wenger left a lot of deadwood behind. I think, they should have got rid of Ozil instead of Sanchez. I think they should have kept Sanchez because Sanchez was one of their best players at the time. He enjoyed a good 3.5, 4 years at Arsenal and that. But yeah, definitely Mikel Arteta's lineup were questionable today. And, since Arteta's come in, he's drawn a lot of games as Arsenal manager. I think today was his 8th game in charge of Arsenal. He's won 5, Mikel Arteta. He's won 2 and he's lost 1. So far he has managed 8 games and that. But I think, to be fair to Mikel Arteta, I'll give him the credit. I think his philosophy's right for Arsenal, definitely. I know he hasn't got that managerial experience, but he did, work alongside Pep Guardoila as a coaching assistant at Man City for, 3 years. So I think he's probably, following Pep Guardiola's philosophy. But, with Guardiola anywhere, he's only so good because of Marcelo Bielsa, because obviously, Marcelo Bielsa worked with Pep Guardiola when he was younger and that, so take that into account. But Arteta knows the traditions of Arsenal Football Club well. He was a great player for them. But, I think his philosophy is definitely nowhere right and that. Obviously, I forgot to mention on my reaction earlier on, I didn't see it, I've just seen it now. Saka come off injured for Arsenal. He started at left back. So yet again, Arsenal have got another injury, and Arsenal have got quite a few injuries at the moment. You know, they've got Chambers out, he's a long-term absence. You know, they've got Kieran Tierney out, who was one of their signings who they made last summer. You know, Cedric Soares, sorry, that's how you pronounce Cedric Soares. He's injured, who of course they did get on loan from Southampton. You know, they needed a right back anyway because obviously Ainsley Maitland-Niles is not predominantly a right back. They've got Hector Bellerin. He's had a few injuries this season, but he did start today, so he's now back from injury. You know, and all of that. And I think, you know, like I said, Mustafi's just come back. I think Klasnic is out with injury. Reece Nelson, one of Arsenal's young players in that. But, you know, Arsenal, I think their club is in turmoil at the moment. You know, I think Arteta's, you know, probably the blame stems from today's game, but, you know, it's not just Arteta, is it? You know, it's the club in general. You know, maybe they've got problems with the backroom staff, there's problems on the pitch, because there's a lot of aspects of their game that do need to improve. And Arsenal have only won 6 games in the Premier League this season out of 25 Premier League games. That's nowhere near good enough to their standards. Arsenal have registered 31 points in 25 games. And, you know, I still think there's a possible chance that Arsenal can get some silverware on the board this season. Maybe they can win the FA Cup. You know, they'd love to get another FA Cup on the board because, you know, they are the most successful team in FA Cup history, are Arsenal, because they've won 13. Obviously, they're into the 5th round of the competition. I think Arsenal's hopes of getting Champions League football for next season is winning the Europa League this season. So that's one of Arsenal's ambitions, basically. But can you see Arsenal winning the Europa League? And, you know, that is the current question. But like I mentioned, you know, Arsenal are in a similar sort of situation to my club, Manchester United, like I said. You know, maybe the still players at Arsenal, maybe that do need to be moved on. But some players did play well for Arsenal today. You know, defensively, I thought they were decent. Didn't show much in terms of an attacking intent. You know, Aubameyang had some chances, like I said, had some chances. I don't think Xhaka had a bad game for them. You know, so Nicolas Pepe wasn't at it either, really. You can maybe say Nicolas Pepe wasn't getting enough service. But, you know, yeah, and I think Arsenal's recruitment policy isn't so good. You know, they've made 2 good signings in this they made 2 good signings in the January transfer window. You know, they brought some decent players in last summer. You know, Tierney, good left back. They also brought, you know, Luiz in from Chelsea. He wasn't the first choice, but Arsenal saw it as a cheap solution. He's had a good couple of games under Arteta. Obviously, William Saliba's due to Arsenal in the summer, when obviously, you know, he's due to Arsenal in the summer when his loan spell ends, because Arsenal did loan him back to St Etienne, don't forget. So he's going to be coming in. Is he centre-half, William Saliba? I can't remember. You know, Daniel Ceballos, don't forget, you know, he was injured early on in the season. They got him on loan from Real Madrid. And also they paid £70 million for Nicolas Pepe. And a lot of Arsenal fans, you know, are going to say that is a waste of money. But yeah, like I mentioned, it's still a transition period for Arsenal. You know, they're on the 3rd manager this season in Arteta. Obviously, before him, they had Ljungberg on a temporary basis. You know, before that, they had Unai Emery. Unai Emery endured 18 months with Arsenal. And obviously, you know, he wasn't the right man. You know, but they look better. They look more... The team's been galvanised since Arteta's come in. I know they've drawn a lot of games, but they've only, you know, suffered 1 defeat. So that's pretty decent out of 8 games. But Arsenal need to try and start, you know, winning more games and all of that. So that's everything to update you with, guys. That's everything to update you with today, guys. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. I want to know your thoughts on the Man City Tottenham game. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless. See you all again very, very soon.